The massive alien ship appeared in Earth's orbit without warning. None of the defense systems detected it until it was already there, hanging above the planet like a silver tear in the black fabric of space. Lieutenant Commander Lisa Carter stood in the control room of the United Nations Space Command headquarters, staring at the main screen with her arms crossed. "How did they get past our sensors?" she asked. General Peterson shook his head. "No idea. 1 minute nothing, next minute that." The ship was beautiful in a strange way. It had no hard edges, just flowing curves that seemed to bend light around them. It was at least 3 miles long, dwarfing even the largest human space stations. "They're broadcasting on all frequencies," said Communications Officer Frank Wilson. "They want to talk." Lisa watched as the world leaders gathered in an emergency session. Within hours, she found herself assigned as the human liaison to the aliens who called themselves the Galactic Confederation. "Your radiation expertise makes you ideal for this assignment," Admiral Rogers told her. "They seem particularly interested in our nuclear capabilities." Lisa nodded, her short brown hair falling across her forehead. "Do we trust them?" The Admiral's face remained neutral. "Trust isn't relevant. We need to know what they want. Be polite, be helpful, but keep your eyes open." 2 days later, Lisa stood on the landing pad at Moonbase Alpha, watching the small alien shuttle descend. The nuclear research facility had been partially decommissioned years ago, after the limited nuclear exchange of 2089. Now it served mostly as a monitoring station for the lingering radiation on Earth. The shuttle door opened with a soft hiss. 3 aliens emerged, walking on 2 legs but moving with a strange flowing grace. Their skin was pale blue with faint patterns that seemed to shift in the light. They had 4 arms and large eyes that blinked with clear membranes. "Welcome to Moonbase Alpha," Lisa said. "I'm Lieutenant Commander Lisa Carter." The tallest alien stepped forward. "I am Ambassador Zixteral. We thank you for this opportunity for scientific exchange." His voice had an odd musical quality, and Lisa wondered if he was using some kind of translator device or if he had learned English. "These are my associates, Chief Scientist Krelvox and Junior Researcher Traxelier," the ambassador continued. Lisa nodded to each of them. "This is Jack Miller, our Chief Engineer. He'll help you set up your equipment." Jack was a stocky man with a thick beard and careful eyes. He nodded but didn't speak. Lisa knew he didn't like this arrangement. Few people did, but orders were orders. "If you'll follow me, I'll show you to the testing area we've prepared," Lisa said. As they walked through the facility, Lisa noticed how the aliens seemed to glide rather than step. They moved like dancers, every motion fluid and precise. They also seemed to be studying everything with intense interest: the walls, the ceiling panels, even the floor markings. "Your species builds with such solid materials," said Krelvox, running one of his 4 hands along a steel doorframe. "Very resistant to damage." "We like things that last," Jack said. The testing area was a large chamber formerly used to test the effects of radiation on various materials. It had thick walls and extensive shielding. The aliens immediately began setting up their equipment, strange devices with flowing shapes similar to their ship. "May I ask what exactly you're hoping to learn?" Lisa asked as she watched them work. Ambassador Zixteral turned his large eyes toward her. "We study all forms of energy manipulation by sentient species. Nuclear energy is particularly interesting to us, as few developing civilizations master it without destroying themselves." "We came close," Lisa admitted. "Yes," the ambassador said. "We observed your last conflict. Fascinating restraint, using only smaller tactical devices rather than your strategic weapons." Lisa felt a chill run down her spine. They had been watching Earth during the war. For how long had they been observing humanity? Over the next week, the aliens conducted various tests. They brought samples of materials from their ship and exposed them to different levels of radiation. They requested data on Earth's nuclear history. They asked for samples of depleted uranium and other nuclear byproducts. Each request seemed reasonable enough on its own, but Lisa began to notice a pattern. They were particularly interested in the effects of radiation on biological systems. They requested extensive medical records from radiation exposure cases. I don't like it, Jack said one night as they sat in the facility cafeteria. They're building a profile of our vulnerabilities. Lisa nodded slowly. I've sent my concerns to command, but we need more evidence before making accusations. The next day, Lisa found junior researcher Traxelier alone in the lab. The young alien seemed more open than the others. Your world has such high background radiation, Traxelier said. And your atmosphere so much nitrogen and oxygen, how do you survive? Lisa smiled. This is normal for us. I imagine your world is very different. Oh yes, Traxelier said excitedly. Much less radiation, different gases. Your people would find it difficult to breathe there. But you can breathe here, Lisa noted. With assistance, Traxelier touched a small device at his throat. This filters the air. Their conversation was interrupted when Krelvox entered. He said something sharp in their language, and Traxelier quickly returned to work. That night, Lisa couldn't sleep. She accessed the secure terminal in her quarters and began reviewing the data the aliens had collected. Most of it seemed consistent with their stated scientific interest, but then she found encrypted transmissions being sent to the main ship. She ran them through the UNSC decryption software. It could only translate fragments. ... Human radiation tolerance exceeding expected. Parameters. ... Threat assessment update required. ... Weapons capability sufficient for planetary defense but limited to solar system. ... Lisa's hands paused over the keyboard. Threat assessment? The next morning, she received a call from her friend Maria Rivera at UNSC Intelligence. Lisa, we've found something. Historical records from other species we've been translating. 3 other worlds received visits like this in the past century. All was subjected to scientific studies of their defense capabilities. What happened to them? Lisa asked, though she already suspected the answer. 2 were eventually absorbed into the Confederation as protected territories. The 3rd resisted and was subjected to what they called containment measures. Their civilization was reduced to pre-industrial technology. Lisa ended the call and walked to the observation window. Below, she could see the aliens setting up for their largest test, yet a simulation of conditions at the center of a nuclear blast. Ambassador Zixtrol approached her. We are very grateful for your cooperation, Lieutenant Commander. Our final test will provide valuable data. Lisa turned to face him. What is the real purpose of these tests, Ambassador? His large eyes blinked slowly. As we stated, scientific research into our weaknesses, Lisa said, into how much radiation it would take to kill us. A cultural misunderstanding, the ambassador said smoothly. We mean no harm. As he walked away, Lisa knew she had to do something. The fate of Earth might depend on what these aliens reported back to their Confederation. An idea began to form in her mind, dangerous, possibly suicidal, but perhaps the only way to change how these aliens viewed humanity. She watched as the aliens prepared their test chamber. They had no idea what humans were truly capable of. It was time to show them. Lisa walked quickly through the moonbase corridors, her mind racing. She needed more information and allies if her suspicions about the aliens were correct. The encrypted transmissions she had intercepted painted a disturbing picture, but she needed proof that would convince her superiors. She found Jack in the engineering bay, working on one of the facility's radiation shields. His large hands moved with surprising delicacy across the control panel. Jack, I need your help, she said. He looked up, wiping sweat from his forehead. What's wrong? I need to access the aliens' testing equipment when they're not around. Can you create a distraction tomorrow? Maybe a minor system failure that would require their attention? Jack frowned. You found something? Lisa nodded. Enough to worry me. They're not just studying our technology. They're studying us as potential threats. Jack considered this for a moment. I can trigger a coolant leak in the East Wing. Nothing dangerous, but it would pull them away for at least 20 minutes. Perfect. That's all I need. The next day, Lisa waited near the testing chamber. When the alarm sounded, the aliens left quickly, following the facility's safety protocols. As soon as they were gone, Lisa entered the room and began examining their equipment. Most of it was incomprehensible, with no obvious controls or displays. But one device had a screen with shifting symbols. Lisa pulled out a small scanner she had borrowed from the communications department and began copying the data. She had almost finished when she heard a soft sound behind her. She turned quickly to find Traxelier, the junior alien researcher, watching her from the doorway. "You should not be here," Traxelier said quietly. Lisa stood her ground. "What is the Confederation really planning, Traxelier? Why are you so interested in our nuclear capabilities?" The young alien's skin patterns shifted rapidly, which Lisa had come to recognize as a sign of distress. "I cannot speak of such things," Traxelier said. Then, more softly, "But I do not wish harm to come to your people. You have been kind to me." Before Lisa could respond, they heard voices approaching. Traxelier moved quickly to the door. "Go now. I will say I was checking the equipment." Lisa slipped out through a side entrance, the scanner hidden in her pocket. She made her way to her quarters and began analyzing the data. Much of it was still encrypted, but certain patterns were clear. The aliens were measuring radiation effects on simulated human tissue. They were calculating lethal doses and recovery rates. They were planning for war. Lisa sent her findings to Maria at UNSC Intelligence and to General William Boyd at Strategic Command. She knew Boyd was a hardliner who had opposed allowing the aliens access to any human facilities. Now his caution seemed justified. That evening, a video call came through from General Boyd himself. His weathered face filled her screen, deep lines etched around his mouth and eyes from years of command decisions. "Carter, your information confirms what we've suspected. These visitors aren't just scientists. Intelligence now believes they're advanced scouts for a possible invasion force." Lisa felt her stomach tighten. "What are our options, sir?" "Limited. Their main ship outclasses anything we have. A first strike would be suicide. But we can't just wait for them to decide we're too dangerous to leave alone. Sir, I have an idea. It's risky, but it might change how they see us." She outlined her plan. The general's expression grew increasingly concerned. "That's not just risky, Carter. It's a death sentence. No human could survive those radiation levels. With respect, sir, they don't know what humans can survive. And with the right preparation, I might have a chance." After the call ended, Lisa reached out to Dr. Eric Hudson, the head scientist at UNSCR&D. If anyone could help her prepare for extreme radiation exposure, it would be him. "What you're proposing is insane," Dr. Hudson said when they met in his lab the next day. He was a tall man with wild gray hair and intelligent eyes. "Even with our best radiation protocols and treatments, the dose you'd receive would be fatal." "Not immediately fatal," Lisa pointed out. "I'd have time to make my point." Dr. Hudson shook his head. "Why you? We could send a drone." "They need to see a human walk in and walk out. It has to be real, and it has to be personal." After hours of argument, Dr. Hudson reluctantly agreed to help. Over the next 3 days, he provided Lisa with experimental radiation treatments and protective measures. None would prevent damage completely, but they might buy her enough time. Meanwhile, the aliens' tests grew more ambitious. They requested samples of weapons-grade plutonium for what they called containment analysis. Ambassador Zixtrel spoke of cultural exchange, while his eyes watched human responses with cold calculation. Paul Graham, the diplomat assigned to alien relations, urged caution. "We can't risk offending them," he told Lisa during a tense meeting. "That the technology they could share with us would advance humanity by centuries. If they let us keep it," Lisa replied. "Ask yourself why a superior civilization would share their technology with a potential rival." The day before the aliens' final test, Lisa received a message from Traxelier asking to meet in the moonbase's small garden area. The garden was one of the few beautiful places on the base, filled with plants that helped recycle air and provided fresh food. When she arrived, Traxelier was studying a small tomato plant with fascination. "Life is persistent here," the alien said, "growing in such harsh conditions." "That's what we do," Lisa said. "We adapt." Traxelier's skin patterns shifted to a deep blue. Tomorrow's test will simulate the center of what you call a nuclear blast. No life form we have encountered could survive such conditions. Is that why the Confederation is here? To determine if we could survive your weapons? Traxelier was silent for a long moment. The High Command believes dangerous species must be contained before they spread to the stars. Your kind develops weapons before wisdom. They fear what humans might become. And what do you believe? I believe there is much we could learn from each other. Traxelier handed her a small device. This contains the exact parameters for tomorrow's test. If you are planning what I think you are, this may help you prepare. Lisa took the device, surprised. Why are you helping me? Because the Confederation's judgment will be based on tomorrow's results, and because I have grown fond of tomatoes. The alien's face shifted in what might have been a smile. That night, Lisa made her final preparations. She studied Traxelier's data and adjusted her protective measures accordingly. She recorded a message for her family in case she didn't return. Then she tried to sleep, knowing tomorrow would either change everything or end everything for her. The alien's final test was scheduled for 0900 hours, the ultimate examination of nuclear effects. And she would be inside when it happened. Morning arrived on the lunar base with the harsh light of the unfiltered sun. Lisa woke after a restless sleep and prepared herself for what might be her last day alive. She swallowed the radiation protection pills Dr. Hudson had given her and applied the special cream to her skin that would provide some barrier against the coming storm. In her bathroom mirror, she studied her reflection. Her determined green eyes looked back at her from a face that seemed too ordinary for what she planned to do today. She was not a hero from old movies. She was just a soldier who saw no other way. Lisa dressed in the modified protective suit Dr. Hudson had prepared. It looked like standard radiation gear but contained experimental materials, designed to absorb more radiation than normal equipment. It wouldn't be enough to fully protect her, but it might help her survive long enough to make her point. A knock came at her door. It was Jack, his face tight with worry. You don't have to do this, he said without greeting. We can find another way. Lisa shook her head. There is no other way. General Boyd is ready to launch an attack if we can't convince them we're not easy targets. That would start a war we can't win. And getting yourself killed helps how exactly? I'm not planning to die, Lisa said with more confidence than she felt. I'm planning to show them something they've never seen before, a human who refuses to fall when their calculations say she should. Jack looked like he wanted to argue more, but instead handed her a small device. I modified this from their equipment designs. It might help disrupt their testing apparatus if things go wrong. Just get close enough to their main control panel and press this button. Lisa took the device and slipped it into her pocket. Thank you, Jack. Just come back alive, he said gruffly. Lisa made her way to the observation room overlooking the testing chamber. A small crowd had gathered. The base commander was there, along with several scientists and military personnel. Ambassador Zixterol and Krelvox stood slightly apart, their skin patterns shifting with excitement. Lisa noticed a new alien as well, taller than the others with elaborate markings on his blue skin. High Commander Vexinar, Paul Graham whispered to her. He arrived from their main ship this morning to observe the test. This is bigger than we thought. Lisa nodded, watching the new alien carefully. His presence confirmed her suspicions about the importance of today's test. This wasn't just science. This was a military assessment. Ambassador Zixterol stepped forward to address the humans. Today's demonstration will simulate conditions at the center of a nuclear reaction. We thank you for allowing us to conduct this important research. The base commander nodded stiffly. We look forward to the results. Lisa noticed Traxelier standing near the back of the alien group. The junior researcher's eyes met hers briefly, then looked away. Had she imagined the slight nod? The test will begin in 30 minutes, Krelvox announced. All personnel must clear the testing area. As the room began to empty, Lisa slipped away. She had memorized the maintenance access routes to the testing chamber. If she timed it right, she could enter the chamber just as the test began. When it would be too late to stop it without risking a catastrophic failure, she made her way through. Narrow service corridors, her heart pounding in her chest. She checked her watch. 20 minutes until the test. She needed to hurry. Lisa reached the maintenance access panel to the testing chamber and paused. Once she went through, there would be no turning back. She thought of her family back on Earth. Of the billions of people who had no idea their fate might depend on what she did next. She opened the panel and slipped inside. The testing chamber was enormous, designed to contain explosive tests. In the center stood the alien's device, a shimmering sphere of technology that seemed to bend the light around it. Lisa knew it would generate radiation levels comparable to standing at ground zero of a nuclear blast. She hid behind some equipment, watching through a small gap as final preparations were made. Alien technicians moved around the chamber, making adjustments to their equipment. Then they left, sealing the massive door behind them. Lisa looked at her watch. 5 minutes to go? She took a deep breath and moved toward the center of the room, positioning herself near the alien device. Above, she could see the observation windows where humans and aliens would be watching the test. Through her earpiece, she could hear the countdown beginning in the control room. Test commencing in 3 minutes. Lisa swallowed hard. Her mouth was dry. Her hands shook slightly as she checked her protective gear one last time. 2 minutes to test initialization. In the observation room, Jack was the first to notice something wrong. "There's someone in the chamber," he shouted, pointing at the monitors. The room erupted in chaos. The base commander rushed to the communication panel. "Abort the test!" "There's someone in there." Krelvox moved quickly to the alien control panel. "We cannot abort. The reaction has begun its initialization sequence. Stopping now would cause a catastrophic overload." "Who is in there?" Ambassador Zixtrel demanded. On the monitor, the figure turned and looked up at the camera. Lisa's face was clearly visible. "Lieutenant Commander Carter," the base commander said, his face pale. "What is she doing?" "She's going to die, Paul." Graham whispered. High Commander Vexenar stepped forward, his large eyes fixed on the monitor. "Your human wishes to die in our test?" "No," Jack said, understanding dawning on his face. "She's going to show you what humans can survive." In the chamber, Lisa heard the final countdown through her earpiece. 30 seconds to full reaction. She planted her feet firmly on the floor and faced the observation window. She wanted them to see her clearly, to remember her face when they made their report to the Confederation. 20 seconds. The alien device began to hum, a high-pitched sound. That made her teeth ache. The air around it shimmered with heat. 10 seconds. Lisa closed her eyes and focused on her breathing, using the meditation techniques Dr. Hudson had taught her. She had to stay conscious as long as possible. Test commencing now. The world turned white. Pain unlike anything Lisa had ever experienced washed over her. It felt like her blood was boiling in her veins, like her skin was being flayed from her body. She screamed, but couldn't hear her own voice over the roar of the reaction. In the observation room, humans and aliens alike watched in horror and fascination. The radiation meters went off the scale. The temperature in the chamber rose to levels that should have incinerated any living thing. "Impossible," Krelvox whispered, his skin turning almost white. No sentient species could survive those levels. Yet on the monitor, through the haze of radiation and heat, they could still see Lisa. She had fallen to her knees, but she was still conscious, still alive when everything they knew said she should be dead. The test lasted 3 minutes. 3 minutes of agony for Lisa. 3 minutes that changed how the aliens saw humanity forever. When the alien device finally powered down, Lisa was still there, bleeding from her nose and ears, skin burned and blistered but alive. She looked up at the observation window, her eyes finding the shocked face of High Commander Vexen AR. With tremendous effort, she rose to her feet. Her legs shook violently. Every movement brought fresh waves of pain. But she stood, and then, step by agonizing step, she began to walk toward the chamber door. The chamber door opened with a hiss. Lisa stumbled through it, her vision blurry and darkening at the edges. She had made it out of the testing area, but her body was failing fast. Every cell screamed with damage from the massive radiation dose. Medical personnel rushed toward her. Dr. Lavra Freeman, the base's radiation medicine specialist, reached her first. "Get her to medical now," Dr. Freeman shouted. "Start the treatment protocol." Lisa tried to speak but could only cough, bringing up blood. Strong arms lifted her onto a stretcher. As they rushed her down the corridor, she caught glimpses of shocked faces, both human and alien. She had made her point. Now she just had to survive. In the observation room, chaos reigned. The base commander was shouting into his unit, demanding emergency transport to Earth's advanced medical facilities. Jack was arguing with Paul Graham about whether Lisa had acted heroically or recklessly. The aliens stood apart, speaking rapidly in their own language. High Commander Vexenar's skin had turned a deep purple color that none of the humans had seen before. "What just happened?" Ambassador Zixtrel finally asked, turning to Jack. Jack's face was hard with anger. "She showed you what humans are. We don't die easily." Krelvox was studying the readouts from the test, his 4 hands moving rapidly over the controls. The radiation levels were beyond lethal. No species we have encountered could survive even brief exposure to such conditions. "And yet she walked out," High Commander Vexenar said quietly. "Most interesting." In the medical bay, Dr. Freeman and her team worked desperately to save Lisa's life. They pumped her full of radiation countermeasures, used experimental regenerative treatments, and placed her in a special chamber designed to help her body repair the damage. "Her cells are somehow still functioning," Dr. Freeman said, amazed as she looked at the microscope results. "They're damaged, yes, but they're fighting back at a rate I've never seen before." Captain Steve Morris, the UNSC pilot who had been standing by for potential evacuation, entered the medical bay. "Transport is ready when she's stable enough to move. We have a medical team waiting at Gateway Station." Dr. Freeman nodded without looking up from her patient. "Give us 20 minutes to get her stabilized. It's going to be close." On the main alien vessel orbiting above, the news of what had happened spread quickly. The Confederation's High Council demanded immediate reports. Senior officers argued about the implications of a species that could withstand such extreme conditions. Back on the moon base, High Commander Vexenar requested a meeting with the human leadership. In the conference room, he faced the base commander and General Boyd, who had arrived via emergency shuttle. "We must speak plainly now," Vexenar said. "Our mission here was not merely scientific. We know," General Boyd said flatly. "You were assessing our threat level, deciding whether we needed to be contained like other species you've encountered." Vexenar's skin shifted to a lighter blue. "Yes, the Confederation has protocols for dealing with emerging nuclear-capable species. Your kind develops weapons before wisdom, as we have seen many times before. And now?" the base commander asked. "Now we must reassess. Your lieutenant commander has demonstrated capabilities we did not believe possible. We must consider what this means for future relations between our peoples." General Boyd leaned forward. "It means you should think very carefully before considering humanity an easy target." Vexenar made a gesture with his upper hands that might have been agreement. "Indeed. But it could also mean something more valuable, a potential ally, rather than a threat." In the medical bay, Lisa drifted in and out of consciousness. The pain had receded somewhat, replaced by a strange numbness that frightened her more than the pain had. She knew enough about radiation sickness to understand what that might mean. She opened her eyes to find Traxelir standing beside her bed, watched carefully by 2 human guards. The young alien researcher seemed genuinely concerned. "You should not have survived," Traxelir said softly. "But I am glad you did." Lisa tried to smile, though her cracked lips made it painful. "Humans are full of surprises." "The High Commander has contacted our homeworld. Your actions have caused much discussion among our leaders." "Good," Lisa whispered. "That was the idea." Traxelir reached out one of his 4 hands, hesitated, then gently touched Lisa's arm. "I have brought something that might help." He placed a small vial of glowing blue liquid on the table beside her bed. It is a cellular regeneration compound our people use for radiation exposure. It may help your recovery. Before Lisa could respond, Dr. Freeman returned and Traxelia stepped back. We're moving you to the transport now, Dr. Freeman told Lisa. Your vitals are stable enough for the journey. The medical team on Gateway Station is better equipped to treat your condition. As they prepared to move her, Lisa pointed weakly to the vial Traxelia had left. That might help. The alien gave it to me. Dr. Freeman looked skeptical but took the vial. We'll analyze it first, but if it's safe, we'll try it. The journey to Gateway Station passed in a blur for Lisa. She was only vaguely aware of being moved to the transport, of the rumble of engines, of concerned voices talking over her. The radiation damage was spreading through her system, shutting down organs one by one. Despite the medical team's best efforts, on Gateway Station, a team of specialists waited. Among them was Dr. Nathan Chun, the leading expert in radiation medicine. He had been flown in from Earth specifically for Lisa. Her condition is critical but stable, Dr. Freeman reported as they transferred Lisa to the station's advanced medical facility. We've administered standard treatments, but the damage is extensive, Dr. Chun nodded grimly. Let's get her into the regeneration chamber. And what's this? He pointed to the vial of blue liquid that Dr. Freeman had brought. The aliens provided. They claim it's a radiation treatment their people use. Dr. Chun studied the vial carefully. Have you analyzed it? Basic analysis only. It contains compounds we've never seen before, but nothing immediately toxic to human tissue. We may need to take the risk, Dr. Chun said after a moment. Conventional treatments won't be enough for this level of exposure. As the doctors debated, news of Lisa's actions spread across Earth. Media outlets ran constant updates on her condition. She had become a symbol overnight, the human who had faced alien technology and walked away. In the White House, President Eleanor Russell met with her national security team. The alien vessel still orbited Earth, but its posture had changed. It had moved back, a sign that the Confederation was reconsidering its approach. They've requested a formal diplomatic meeting, the Secretary of State reported. Not just with us, but with representatives from all major Earth governments, President Russell nodded. And Lieutenant Commander Carter? Still fighting for her life, Madam President. But the doctors are cautiously optimistic. Apparently, the aliens provided some kind of treatment that seems to be helping. Make sure she gets everything she needs, the President said firmly. What she did may have saved us all from a war we couldn't win. On Gateway Station, Lisa opened her eyes. The pain had lessened considerably. She could see Dr. Chun standing over her, checking monitors. Welcome back, Lieutenant Commander, he said with a smile. You gave us quite a scare. The aliens? Lisa asked, her voice hoarse. Still here, but not threatening anyone. In fact, they're talking about peace now. Whatever you did in that chamber, it changed things. Lisa closed her eyes again, too tired to speak further. But inside she felt a small glow of satisfaction. She had gambled everything on showing the aliens what humanity truly was, not just nuclear capability, but sheer, stubborn determination to survive against all odds, and somehow it had worked. 3 weeks later, Lisa stood at the window of her hospital room on Earth, looking out at the blue sky. Her body was still healing, covered in new pink skin where radiation burns had been. The alien medicine had worked miracles, repairing damage that Earth doctors had thought permanent. She still had a long recovery ahead, but she would live. A soft knock came at her door. When it opened, her 15-year-old son Ben entered, followed by Jack Miller. "Mom!" Ben rushed to her side, then stopped short, afraid to hurt her with a hug. Lisa smiled and opened her arms. "It's okay. I'm stronger than I look." Ben hugged her carefully. He had his father's height and her green eyes. "Everyone at school is talking about you. They're calling you the Deathworlder." Lisa raised an eyebrow. "The what?" Jack stepped forward. "It's what the aliens call us now. Apparently, it's their term for species that evolve on planets with harsh conditions. It's actually a sign of respect." Lisa shook her head with a small smile. "I just did what needed to be done. You nearly died," Jack said bluntly. "But it worked. The Confederation has completely changed their approach to Earth. He handed her a tablet with news headlines. The main alien ship still orbited Earth, but smaller vessels had arrived. Diplomatic meetings were happening daily. Trade discussions had begun. The Confederation had officially invited Earth to send representatives to their central worlds. Grand. Arbiter Colfax arrived yesterday, Jack continued. He's their highest diplomatic authority. He specifically asked to meet you when you're well enough, Lisa handed the tablet back. And what about the nuclear tests? What happened to their research? Classified and sealed. But I heard they've recategorized humans from potential threat to Deathworld species. Approach with caution, Jack smiled slightly. You scared them, Lisa. Ben looked at his mother with pride. My teacher said you probably prevented a war. Lisa stroked her son's hair. She had done it for him, for all the children who deserved to grow up without the threat of alien containment. 2 days later, Lisa was deemed well enough for visitors of diplomatic importance. She sat in a wheelchair in a special meeting room at the hospital, wearing her dress uniform despite her doctor's objections. President Russell herself had come to meet with the alien delegation, along with representatives from other major world governments. The door opened and the aliens entered. Ambassador Zixtrel was there, along with Krelvox and Traxelier, but the tallest figure commanded the most attention. Grand Arbiter Colfax. He stood nearly 7 feet tall, his skin a deep royal blue with intricate gold patterns that seemed to flow like liquid across his surface. Lieutenant Commander Carter, President Russell said formally. May I present Grand Arbiter Colfax of the Galactic Confederation? Lisa nodded respectfully. She was still too weak to stand, but she sat as straight as her healing body allowed. The Grand Arbiter studied her with large, intelligent eyes. So, you are the human who defied our understanding of what is possible, he said in a deep, melodious voice. You have caused quite a stir among the Confederation worlds. I just showed you what any human might do to protect their home, Lisa replied, perhaps. But few would have the courage to walk into certain death to make a point. The Grand Arbiter made a gesture with his 4 hands that Lisa now knew was a sign of deep respect. You have changed the course of relations between our peoples. President Russell stepped forward. We are grateful for the medical assistance your people provided to Lieutenant Commander Carter, and for your willingness to establish peaceful relations with Earth. It is in our mutual interest, the Grand Arbiter said. The Confederation has encountered many species in its long history, but few with your resilience, double quotes. Lisa caught Traxelier SI. The young alien researcher gave her what seemed to be a small smile. She nodded back, thankful for the help he had provided when she needed it most. After the formal meeting concluded, Traxelier approached Lisa's wheelchair as the others filed out. I have been assigned as scientific liaison to Earth, he told her. There is much we can learn from each other. I'm glad, Lisa said, and thank you for the medicine. The doctors say it saved my life. Traxelier's skin patterns shifted to a pleased blue. It was the right thing to do. Just as what you did was right, even if it was dangerous. 6 months later, Lisa stood before a class of young officer cadets at the newly established Interspecies Defense Academy. Her body had healed remarkably well, though she still carried some scars that even the alien medicine couldn't completely erase. The incident at Moonbase Alpha changed everything, she told the attentive cadets, who included both humans and, surprisingly, 3 young aliens. It taught both our species important lessons about each other. A young cadet raised her hand. Is it true you knew you might not survive the test? Lisa nodded. I knew the risks. But sometimes you have to be willing to risk everything to prevent something worse. Weren't you afraid? Another cadet asked. Of course I was afraid, Lisa said honestly. Courage isn't about not feeling fear. It's about doing what needs to be done despite that fear. After the lecture, Lisa walked through the Academy grounds with General Boyd, now the head of Earth's new interstellar defense force. The Confederation has opened their star charts to U.S., Boyd told her. Defensive technology, medical advancements, faster than light travel, they're sharing it all now. And it's all because of what you did, Lisa shook her head. It wasn't just me. It was what I represented humanity's determination to survive. The Deathworlders, Boyd said with a slight smile. Turns out it's a compliment of the highest order. In their culture, species that evolve on harsh worlds are rare and highly respected. I still don't like the name, Lisa said. Too bad it's sticking. The first human ship to visit the Confederation capital next month is even being named the UES Deathworlder in your honor? Lisa laughed despite herself. As long as we have peace, they can call us whatever they want. That evening, Lisa sat with her son Ben in their backyard, looking up at the stars. Somewhere up there, the alien ships moved in orbit, no longer a threat, but now allies and trading partners. Do you think you'll go up there again? Ben asked. To space, I mean. Lisa considered this. She had been offered command of the UES Deathworlder for its maiden voyage, despite her medical retirement from active service. Maybe, she said. There's a lot of universe to explore, and now we'll get to see it. Ben looked at her with serious eyes. I'm proud of you, Mom. You showed them what humans can do. Lisa put her arm around her son's shoulders and looked up at the stars that now represented possibility rather than threat. I just showed them who we already were, she said softly. We've always been survivors. Now the whole galaxy knows it too. Above them, a shooting star traced a bright line across the night sky, not a natural meteor, but one of the alien shuttles entering the atmosphere, bringing visitors from distant worlds to the planet that had earned a new kind of respect among the stars. Earth had faced its trial by fire, and through one woman's courage, had emerged not as a subject world, but as an equal among the stars. The Deathworlders had arrived on the galactic stage, and the universe would never be the same.